And obviously then the person who plays a big part in all of this is the CISO, in making sure everything is secure and looking at the risk management perspective. So how does the risk management perspective fit into everything that Francois was saying?
Yeah, exactly as Francois was saying, it's almost resetting the clock to say, okay, we need to review our position again and understand how we protect authentication. The username and password comes into play. You find a lot of users actually end up putting in their personal username and passwords, and then they apply those to the corporate accounts, and that comes with its own challenges. From a risk management perspective, again, it's all of risk management is generally around protecting data, right? So understanding personal profiles, making sure that there aren't those breaches, and authentication is a fundamental part of that. If you've got someone's own personal profile, their digital identity, that needs to be protected. Whichever device, whichever application, in whichever way it's being accessed, that needs to be protected. And you need to understand profiles of those users as well. So risk management is applied to what users have I got, what data are they accessing, how are they accessing it, and then how do I apply the right security controls and authentication levels against those particular users. And if I'm ensuring that I understand the type of data that's being accessed, what is the risk profile against that data? Now, only when you do that work up front, from a CISO perspective, can you then apply the right solutions around your organization. And then it's really ensuring that that's managed effectively ongoing. So a CISO really, it's the study and piece of work up front is users, profiles, and data access. Once you've got that in place, you can then start looking at solutions from that point of view.
And I suppose they've got an interesting role, though, of balancing what their needs along with the two other challenges we mentioned there. So the CIO's perspective and the end user perspective. How does everyone go about working together to make sure that it's a solution that fits?
And I think that's a very good question, because for a long time, authentication was addressed or as kind of a silo function, right? Because it was really trying to protect, I would say, the access, of very specific use case. Typically, was remote access users coming, from outside into the enterprise perimeter, right? As long as now enterprise start to understand that they cannot build, a perimeter around all their applications or data, especially now that data is located anywhere. As long as they realize that typical network level security, mechanisms are not enough, and that I would say a comprehensive, access management policy across all the enterprise resources rely on identity-aware solutions. I think that's where the concept of access management platform and access management framework come into play, because all of a sudden you're in the solution itself, you're taking into account different level of dimensions, right? You're taking into account users, so depending on which group the user belong to and what is the risk profile of the user, you can set up different type of policies. The second dimension is obviously the sensitivity of the assets that the user is trying to access, right? Whether it's specific data in a database or an application residing in the cloud or in the enterprise. And the third dimension is the risk as well, based on the context. Because as I mentioned, adopting cloud applications is not the only challenge that the digital transformation is creating for enterprise customers. The accessing applications from anywhere is an additional challenge. And being able now to take into account, which device that the user is trying to use now to access this sensitive application is very important, because enterprise also have to adapt to the change of user behavior and change of expectations from end users, right? The way that the people work today and conduct, their work day for office type applications has completely changed, over the last few years. And the expectations from end users are very different. They want to be able to work from a plane. They want to be able to work, from their home PC and or their tablet. So the new application access management frameworks that are coming into play are really taking into account, these three dimensions, right? The users, the type of applications or data that the users are trying to access, and the context of the transaction itself, and allowing then CISOs and IT officers to be able to put security policies that take into account these three dimensions to really improve the user convenience, allow efficiency in the organizations, while at the same time preserve, the security policies of the company that are quite important. Yeah.